Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Tuesday Night Live with Teresa Harper. I'm located in Oregon in the USA. My current host code is RZDCZ9B2. Be sure to use that on any orders that you wish to place under $150. And let's go ahead and get started. Tonight, we will be using the Garden Wishes bundle of products, and that's the Garden Wishes stamp set along with the Dandy Wishes dies. Those are currently on sale, bundled together for 20% off through the end of March. Okay, let's see who we've got on. It is spring break here, and I'm not expecting some people this week because they're on vacation. So let's see who all we have. And then we will get started. So in addition to the Garden Wishes and Dandy Wishes dies, I'm going to be using Dragonfly Garden. We'll be using this image, and then I'll be using this sentiment here, may good things grow all year long, for the inside sentiment on one of our cards. And we're also going to be using the Beautiful Shapes dies. So we'll be using these two hexagons and this set of hexagons along with this outline shape, which we'll be using for a sentiment. Okay, hello Cynthia. So glad you could join us. I'm thinking you might be the only one tonight. I know Tracy has gone on a spring break trip, and Laura is also on a spring break trip. Her and Jennifer both, so they won't be on either. They're about 3 hours ahead of us, so it's pretty late already where they're at. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. Get these out of the way. And let's start with our first card, which I'm not sure why I put those stamp sets so far out of the way. I'm going to need those. We're also going to be using the thank you from the Happy and Heartfelt stamp set, but you could use any thank you that you have that would fit in the space. And Honeybee Home. I'm going to be using just the tip of this, and we're going to be using this bee. Okay. Feel free to substitute what you have. Oops, almost that. Okay, we're going to be using some Stampin' Blends tonight. We're going to be doing some coloring. I'm going to go ahead and get those out. You can take a look at those or do a screenshot. Let's get those into the picture here. Get those in here. And then we're also going to be using the Bumblebee Stampin' Right marker. All right, let's see. All right. So for stamp pads, we have Basic Gray, Bumblebee, and Misty Moonlight. And we'll be using the 2022 In Color Square Gems. And the Designer Series paper from the 2021 to 2023 In Color designer series paper, and we'll be using the pale papaya from that. All right, set some of these things out of our way. We'll just slide them off, move them out. All right, so we've got a card base in Misty Moonlight. I do want to mention that I've just posted an announcement of the 5 new in colors, which will be coming in the new annual catalog beginning May 3rd, 2022, which also means that the outgoing colors of Cinnamon Cider, Magenta Madness, Just Jade, Misty Moonlight, and what is the last one here? Bumblebee. Those will all be retiring. So the retired list will come out tomorrow at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, which is noon Pacific Time. And at the same time they're releasing the annual catalog to the demonstrators, they will be releasing the retired list from the annual catalog. Once that goes live, things start to sell out. So be sure to get your orders in sooner rather than later so that you don't miss out on your ink pads and markers and ink refills and any designer series paper that you want that includes those colors, because those also will be retiring. All right, so we're going to start with a card base in Misty Moonlight, and this is 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. I've got a piece of Cinnamon Cider, which is cut at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and I've already run that through the the Hive embossing folder, 3D. So that's what that looks like, and we're just going to go ahead and we can add this right to our card now. And because this is a 3D embossing folder and has a lot of depth, I'm going to use liquid glue in hopes that that will grab on and really secure our layer to our card. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that. This particular folder has very distinctive front and back sides, so you can choose which one you want. I'm actually using the side that debosses. Okay, so we've got that. Now, we need to start, we need to do some die cutting. So we need some pieces. So I've already die cut a good share of these. So I'm just going to show you how I did this. And of this particular one, I think I only need one more. So what I've done is I've taken the Beautiful Shapes dies. Where did I just put those? Oh, what did I do with them? Oh my goodness. How could they? Oh, I set my tray down on them. Silly me. All right, let's put these where they belong so I can get to those easily. Okay, so we're going to be using the Beautiful Shapes dies with these. And I'm going to take the smaller of the two diagonals that are in the layering. And what I've done is I have put the smallest and the second smallest together. I've used a piece of Post-it tape to hold them. And I'm going to run them through my mini cut and emboss, just like this. So I've got those two down there. I'm going to put this on my paper here. Make sure that those are lined up how I want them. Put my top plate on. And then I'm going to cut those. And I'm doing that on the Pale Papaya Designer Series paper. And I'm using the pattern that has the little square blocks. Okay. And then I'm going to have this piece. And more importantly, I'm going to have this frame piece. Okay. And I need 7 of those. But I've already cut, I think I've already cut 6 of them. So I think we should be good. Now, don't throw those inner pieces away. We're going to use some on the inside of our card. And, of course, they're good for a future project. Now, at this point, because I've already got my other ones cut, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this larger one out. And I need 7 of the 7 of these cut in basic white. And let's see if I already cut all of those. I've already got quite a few of those. Nope, I need one more. So let's grab a scrap of basic white. And we'll run that through. And then I also need 3 of the, my goodness, what did I do with those dies again? Cannot keep track of them. Right there they are. Well, I got to cut squares. I need 3 of these squares. So really, I only need to run this through twice because that's going to give me the 3. So I'm just going to put that on there. And I'm going to run that through. Okay. And what I forgot to tell you was you don't really need 7 of those. That's how I get my dies out when they're stuck in sometimes. You really only need 4 of these in of this size in the basic white because we're going to do some stamping and die cutting to get those other 3 pieces that we need. Let me put those away so I don't lose them. Because I guess if I'm going to lose something, I want to lose the whole thing. All right, so let's set that aside. And then we're going to take a scrap piece of basic white. What did I do with those pieces already? Oh my goodness. I am a mess tonight for some reason. What did I do with the rest of my... Oh, there. Right there. Hiding. Hiding. Okay. Man, I cannot keep this together. All right. We need a piece of basic white, and we're going to stamp the large flower from Dragonfly Garden, and that's this one, on a scrap piece of basic white. And let's get that. Okay. We're going to ink that up in the basic gray. And we're just going to stamp that down. Okay, so we've got that. And then we're going to use our Stampin' Blends to color that. And again, these are the colors of Stampin' Blends that we're using tonight. Let me get those over here. Okay. So I use the dark cinnamon cider, and I just ran a little bit of that along the tops of these flowers here, of all three of them. And I'm going to color those tops in with the light. Take a dark daffodil delight and go along the artist marks there. Nothing too difficult. I'm just stroking on a little bit of color. Excuse me. Then I'm going to take the light daffodil delight. I'm going to fill those in. All right. I'm going to take my light fresh freesia, and I'm just going to dot on some color on these little brushy looking. And I would do that all over the image. For the dandelion here, we're just going to take our bumblebee Stampin' Right marker and fill that in. And there's 4 of them, actually 5. And we're just going to dab on some color there. Okay. For the little stalks here, we're just going to dab on some light Misty Moonlight. I'm going to do that on all of those. Going to take the dark old olive and run on the veins of the leaves here. On all of those. And then color those in with the light old olive. Okay. I'm just doing this quick color here. And then very lightly touch the paper with the light old olive and go down the stems of your flowers here. Okay. Just like that. Okay. And then when you've got that all finished, it'll look like this. Okay. And then we're going to bring back in that Beautiful Shapes die, the smallest one of the hexagons. And we're going to run this through our machine. And I'm going to pick where I want that to go. I'm going to use a little piece of Post-it tape. Set that down. I'm going to stick that in my mini. I'm going to run that through. Okay. I'm going to take that off and I'm going to move it down. And I'm going to try to line those 2 pieces up on the bottom so that this will kind of look like it's a continuous image. And I'm going to put that back down and run that back through. And I'm going to do that one last time, lining those back up as best I can. Okay, now you'll need 7 total. These 3 plus 4 more that we're going to stamp on. Okay, so let's move our machine out of the way. And put our die back on the thing. All right, so let's bring in our card base. And I'll show you what we're going to do here. We're going to start with these frame pieces, and you could when you cut these, you could use the adhesive sheet. I'm going to try to start in the very center here. And and then I'm going to go out from there. So I'm going to dry fit these, and it's going to go off of, oh shoot, I shouldn't have attached that. I don't know what I was thinking. Well, let's redo that, because that's not going to work. We have to be able to trim. So let me grab a piece of cinnamon cider real quick. Let's see if that's white enough. Not quite. Okay, let's cut this. I need this to be 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And I'm going to run this through my large die cut machine real fast. Give me just a minute. And we'll do this the right way. I don't know why I was thinking that I could attach that first. Okay. So here's what we have, and if you put your paper up with the Stampin' Up side, with your paper against the Stampin' Up side, then you get this effect, and this is the pattern that you get on the back. And they do look quite different. Okay. So let's go ahead now and put these on, because you have to trim the sides. They go just a little bit too wide. We're going to try to get this in here as centered as we can. And once I get these 3 set, then the other ones, I'll go ahead and adhere these, and then the other ones will go a lot faster, as long as I'm in the center. Okay. I'm going to get this one just a little bit more this way. So we have about the same amount sticking off. This is the trickiest part of this card. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and call that good. And I'm going to adhere this down. And I'm just going to do this with a little bit of liquid glue if I can get the liquid glue to cooperate. Okay. Then we'll just place this down right here. Center that up. And the rest, then we just build around. Once you get that center one set to know that you're in about the center, it's quite easy from there. If your glue will cooperate, this is a brand new bottle, and for some reason it wants to give me some fits. Like I say, if you use the adhesive sheets, then they would be peel and stick. Okay, so we'll just keep going on these. I could have done this ahead of time, but then I wouldn't have been able to show you how to set them down and get them going. So we're going to build all the way around that center piece. Just fitting one into the other and lining those up. Okay. I'm going to put a pin in here and see if that'll help that out a little bit. Clean that pin later so I don't happen to have a baby wipe close. Now hopefully it doesn't start squirting out big time on me. Okay, so we've got those. Okay, I'm going to put one more. Oh man, I did not get that centered. Well, boo. I didn't get it centered top to bottom. But we're going to go with it because I'm not starting over again. Should have went top to bottom and side to side. I have way more down here at the bottom than I should. But I have one already made and I'll show you what it looks like when you center it properly. Don't do what I did. Center both directions and make sure it's centered. Okay. Okay, and you want to make sure that you really get those edges glued down because you're going to snip those off. Okay, so we're going to take, and I'm going to use some different scissors that won't stick to the glue rather than my good paper snips. Okay, then I won't have to worry about those. All right, so we've got this. And then these are going to go in here. So we're going to put this one in here. Then we'll put the next one in that so that it looks like it's one continuous row from that flower, right? So we need to do that. And for expediency, I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal. And I'm just going to set those right in those spaces. Now you could do this with any stamp set that you have. Okay, so we've got those three. Now we need 4 more that we need to stamp. And we need to make sure that we have them in the right orientation so that when we stamp them, they'll go right into place where they need to. So we're going to pull out Garden Wishes. And we're going to use the top of this image with the basic gray. So I'm going to only ink up the top of that because that's all I need. And I'm just going to stamp that down in my hexagon. Excuse me. I feel like I got a frog in my throat. And then I'm also going to take this image and I'm going to ink up just the top. And I'm going to stamp this on one of those hexagons, making sure that I have a flat edge on top and bottom. And then I'm going to put that down. Okay, and I've got that. And then I'm going to take the thank you from Happy and Heartfelt, but if you have a different thank you, you could use that. And I'm just going to ink up the thank. This one is divided far enough that I can just tap it down on my ink pad and only get thank. And then I'm going to orient my hexagon with a flat on the top and a flat on the bottom. And I'm going to stamp the thank. And I'm going to grab my Simply Chamois. And I'm going to clean that off. And then I'm going to turn it around and ink up only the U. And then I'm going to stamp that down. So that I have thank you. Right. And finally, my last image that I need is going to be a bumblebee. And actually, I could just use a bumblebee. Well, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. This one is from Honeybee. No, this one's from Honeybee Home. But if you don't have the Honeybee Home, you can certainly use well, let's go ahead and do that. We'll just use the bee that's in Garden Wishes. And I'm going to stamp that so it looks like he's flying and landing in about the center. Okay. Then for my bumblebee, I'm going to use my Stampin' Write Bumblebee marker. And I'm going to color in his head, stripes here on his back. And then for his wings, I'm just going to take some Wink of Stella. Okay. And if I wanted to darken up his body, I take my basic black Stampin' Blend, put those right there like so. Okay, so that one's done. Now we're going to take this dandelion. We're going to take the dark Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blend, and I'm just going to swirl some color in the center. I'm going to do the same thing over here on this one, just in the very center there. And then I'm going to take my Daffodil Delight, the light one, and I'm going to finish coloring that in. Blending those colors together. And I'm going to take the light Old Olive Stampin' Blend. I'm going to go down that stem, and I'm going to do the same thing down this stem. Okay, now all of our pieces are stamped and ready to be inserted. Okay, looks like I've got some marks on here, so let's take those off. And we're going to go ahead and put the thank you down here. I'm going to put my bee up here so it looks like it's getting ready to land on that flower. I'm going to put this one here. And lastly, I'm going to put my dandelion right here. Okay. And then we'll just adhere those in. Okay. And we'll trim those off. And now we can add this to a Misty Moonlight card base. Of 5.5 by 8.5, and we'll score that at 4.25. Okay, and then we can place this on our card. All right. Then we're going to finish this off with a couple of embellishments here. Get my cap on my glue. I'm going to make a little bow out of the cotton ribbon combo, and this is the Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to use my bow jig. I could just tie one, but I like how my bow jig ties them nicer than I do. So I'm just going to tie that up. This is 1/8 inch cotton ribbon, and it is fabulous to work with. So we're just going to trim those ends. add this with a glue dot. And we're going to add this right down here. I'm going to fold up that glue dot a little bit because it's sticking out just a tiny bit. Fold it over on itself. Put this in right here like so. And we'll go ahead and trim that up a little bit more. Okay. And finally, we're going to take those 2020 to 2022 in color square gems. You can get them out of the package. Take your pick tool. I'm going to get a little Misty Moonlight. I've got a little bauble there, so I'm going to cover that up. Put one there. I'm going to put a bigger one here like so. And then I'm going to put one more smaller one down here like so. And I'm putting these where the hexagons come together, and I'm putting them at an angle so that they're in the diamond orientation. All right. So there's the outside of our card. Now for the inside of our card, I took and stamped 3 images again on the little white hexagon squares that we cut, and I mounted them on 3 of those pieces that came from the inside when we cut that paper and put them on there. And we'll add that to our card. And I'm out. That's why I'm having trouble, because I'm out of tape. All right, well, I guess we'll use, not sure that I have any Stampin' Seal close. So I guess I'll go ahead and mount this to the inside of the card. And the inside sentiment, being awesome is just your thing, also comes from the happy and heartfelt. We're just going to place that there. And to finish this off, we're going to do our envelope. Okay. And I've got a piece of the same designer series paper. I'm going to grab my silicone mat. I'm going to put a little bit of glue around the outside edge of the flap here. Just a little bit. A little dab will do you here. And this piece of designer series paper is 2 1/4 inches by 6. I'm just going to line that up along the edge flap there. Fold up that flap, press it down against my surface so I get a nice even edge. Take my bone folder, give that a good press, and then I'll take my paper snips and trim that off. And then for the front, I did stamp an image with the, I guess I used Honeybee Home. You could use whatever, and I colored those in Pale Papaya. So there is our first card finished. All right, so I'm going to need those. I'm not sure I need that. I know I need these, the old olive. I think I'm good with these. All right, so let's move on to card number 2. I've done quite a bit of the work on card number 2. This is a fun fold card. Get this out of the way. Gonna need the basic gray again, but not those two. So let's get those out of the way. And our extra pieces here. All right. So again, the card base for this one is Misty Moonlight. Get this card out of the way. I'll show you the properly centered card. This is what it looks like when you properly center it. And had I been paying attention to my sample, I would have known I was way too high. Okay, so that's what it looks like properly centered. Okay, so for this one, we're going to use 5.5 by 8.5. We're going to score this a little bit differently because this is going to be a book fold. So we're going to score this at 4.25 and 5 3/8. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and crease those. That center, the 4.5 one gets creased just like it normally would, and the other one at 5 3/8, we're going to fold backwards. Okay, so this is going to become our book fold. All right, now we're not going to adhere our paper yet because I'm going to be smarter this time. Although I can adhere this one because I don't need to do anything to it and I don't want it to disappear. So let's go ahead and adhere that to our paper. It's a very narrow margin for the DSP. I am having a lot of trouble with that liquid glue working. So I'm just going to put this right in here and center it up between that score line and the outside edges. All right. Then to this piece, we're going to do a little bit of work. Okay. I'm going to be smarter this time than I was last time. Okay, so from the Dandy Wishes dies, you're going to need to cut this and 2 of these out of basic white. So I've already done that. I've got 1 and 2 of those, and those will fit right through the mini. And then you're going to need to cut also out of the basic white. You need to cut these 3 centers. I thought I did that. Let me see if I did, because I might not have. I guess I didn't. So let's go ahead and cut that. And I'll get some. And you just need a scrap. Just wide enough to fit your pieces. And we're going to run those all through at the same time. Okay, so we're just going to put that on there. That one. And that one. Put that on top. And we'll just run those through. Okay. Ooh, thought that dropped on the floor for a second. Okay, so we've got those. I'm going to take your pick tool. It's being stubborn. My plate is well loved. All right, so while we're here, let's go ahead and cut out our other pieces. So for this one, I'm using a piece of the New Horizons Designer Series paper. And I'm just going to stick this in here. And I'm going to take this piece, but I just want the very tip top. So I'm just going to put that in there like that. And then I'm going to throw these other 3 on here as well. Okay. And then I'm going to roll that through. Okay. And then we have one more to die cut. Okay, so we've got all those pieces. And we'll put that on. And we can put these on so they don't get lost. Okay. And then, did I not grab that piece of Evening Evergreen? Apparently I did not. So let me grab that out of my scraps here. The good part about this is that you can use scraps for most of it. So this is the piece I'm looking for, right? No, that isn't. Where is that piece? Right here. This piece right here. I think this is the same, one of the same pieces that we used last week. All right. And then we're going to run this through. We're going to take a couple of the leaves here. And we're going to set this up here. And we're going to run that through. So we have a couple of leaves. All right, that's almost all the die cutting. Just have one more piece. Let's go ahead and do that right now. We're going to stamp it first and then we'll die cut it. Okay. Let's get these out of the way for a moment. Grab a scrap piece of white again. I don't know if this is going to be white enough. Let's check it out. Nope, we need a bigger piece. I thought I had that all put where I had everything I needed earlier. Okay, well, let's just do it this way. So now we're going to take our sentiment which is wishing you all the best. We're going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen. And then we're going to just cut that out, and then I believe we'll have all of our pieces. Okay, let's get that done. Put that on there just like that. And run that through the mini. All right, and set that aside. And this die comes from those beautiful shapes right here. It's this piece right here. Okay. All right. Now we need to bring in some scrap paper. We're going to do some ink blending. So we're going to ink blend on these pieces here. Right here. Okay, so let's get the Blackberry Bliss. No, yeah, no, both of them. I need Fresh Freesia and Blackberry Bliss. That's what I need. I'm going to start with Blackberry Bliss. And I'm going to do the largest with the stem and the third largest or second smallest, however you want to look at it. I'm going to set those two aside for now because I'm going to do those in Fresh Freesia. And I'm just going to rub this over my flower here. Now you can go as dark or as light as you wish. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to do this one here. And I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we can set the Blackberry Bliss aside. And I'm going to trade brushes because I started with the darker. Okay, and then I'm going to go to Fresh Freesia. And I'm going to color these two in. Okay. All right. Then lastly, we need to take the old olive and we're going to color in this stem and we're going to color in this stem. I'm just going to rub down there like so and like so. And those are now done. Okay. Then I'm going to take some ink that's left on there and I'm just going to run it around the edge of my sentiment piece here. Just to give the edges a little bit of green. Okay, and that piece is now ready. All right. I think we are ready to start construction. Okay, so we're going to bring in our silicone mat. I'm going to cut off the little stem edge of this. And I'm going to take some liquid glue. I'm going to add it to the back of these petals. And these ones I'm sticking down solid. Whoa. Get that out of that glue. The rest of them, I won't be doing this. Come on, get out of there. All right. And then I'm going to add this. Oh, thanks, Cynthia. I'm glad you liked that card. I'm going to add this on here, just like so, lining all of those edges up. Okay. Then I'm going to take and I'm going to pop these up with my fingers. Just gently. And then I'm going to add a little bit of glue to my second largest in the center here. And I'm going to offset these petals from the previous and center that in there. And with the liquid glue, it will allow me to move it around until I'm happy with the placement. And sometimes it moves when I don't want it to. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to take the next smaller flower. And again, I'm going to pop these up with my fingers. And then I'm going to add this in again, trying to stagger my petals and center it down. And finally, I'm going to do my smallest flower. And I'm going to stick that in the center. Like so. Okay? And then we're going to repeat with the blended flower petals. So that we have two of these different colored. Okay. And again, we're staggering those petals. And staggering these. And then we'll set this in here. Okay. So there are our pieces. And now we can add these to our project. Okay. And I pre-done a couple more of those leaves, so we have them if we need them. Okay. So let's bring in our piece of designer series paper. And we're going to start by placing this one down. I'm just going to use some liquid glue. And for this one, I'm just putting my liquid glue in the top part right there. And I'm going to put just a tiny bit along the top of my stem. I'm not going to go all the way down because I'm going to trim my stem. Okay. These stems are pretty long. I'm just going to put that on there like that. I'm going to lay this one down like so. I'm just going to put some liquid glue in the center. And again, only part way down on the stem. If I can get any to come out. It's driving me crazy here. It only wants to come out in a big glob. Okay, well, we're going to call that good for now. I'm not fighting that anymore. I'm done with it. Okay, I've got that one on. And then I'm going to put this one up here like about so. I need to make sure I don't go off my designer series paper. And then I'm going to begin to add my stems in. Okay. So I want one of these. Nope, I want a shorter one. No, this one does go this way. I gotta put this one in like this. Put this one in over here. I'll just put in some liquid glue if it'll cooperate. I have never had so much trouble with a bottle of glue. This is crazy. Okay, so we're gonna do that. And then we'll take one of these smaller ones and we're going to put it up like that. Just going to stick this up here like so. And then, let me see, I don't have any more smaller ones. I guess not. We'll put one right there like that, I guess. Thought I had two of each, but apparently not. Okay, so we'll put that like that. And then we're going to add this down here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all these off here now because I don't need them. They aren't going to show. Why is that not sticking? Okay, now it'll stick for sure. Give that a good press. Let's get some Stampin' Dimensionals. These are going to give me fits tonight too. I've got some of these that just don't work well. Seriously. The backings on these things are just ripping through the paper instead of what they're supposed to be doing. Okay, I'll put that like that. All right. And then we'll straddle these right down here at the bottom. Wishing you best, all the best. And now we're ready to start adding to our card front. Okay, so we're going to take this. Hope I can get this liquid glue to work decently. There we go. Okay. We'll slide this right in on this card front here. Okay. And if you stamp the back of your cards, now is the time to stamp the back of your card. because once you seal this, it's almost impossible to get it to work. Okay, what did I do? Okay, well, I'm going to do what I did before, I guess. I'll use the Night of Navy. And I'm going to stamp on the back of my card. Okay, get that out of the way. And now we can take some glue and glue this in. I actually wanted to see with this one if I could take this Misty Moonlight ribbon before I glue that down and see if we like this. Give me my reverse tweezers. Hold on to that. And then we'll tie a little bow. Boy, it just seems like this is going to be one of those nights when I'm having difficulty with everything. Okay, let's zhuzh up our wool here. Pull out our okay. What do we think? Bow or no bow? Let's give this a nip there. While I'm waiting for you to tell me whether bow or no bow, I'm going to take the iridescent rhinestones and my take your pick tool. And I'm going to take the largest of those rhinestones and then place that in the center of my two flowers, just like that. Okay. All right. So there is our card front. And now we'll take and put some liquid glue on the inside of our card here. And we're just going to glue that shut in that one little area there. So we just put glue on that 1 inch section, 1 1/8 inch section. And then it'll glue this shut. Okay. And then for the inside of our card, I've already stamped that daisy image and colored that, and then stamped the May Good Things Grow All Year Long. And that is from the Dragonfly Garden. Okay. And this is a piece that is 3 by 5 3/8. And we're just going to slide that into place there. And then here is our envelope. I stamped just the tops of those dandelions again. All right, so there is card number 2. Let me grab card number 1. Okay, and those are our projects for tonight. I hope you like those. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to purchase any of the items, you can shop my online store. And there is a Shop Now button at the top of my K&T Designs Facebook page here. Or you can find it over on my blog at kntdesignsbyteresa.blogspot.com or .net. Okay? All right. Thank you for joining me. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. I'm glad you really liked that card. All right. Remember that the retired list will go live tomorrow around noon. I'll try and get that emailed out to all of my customers as soon as I can. And we'll see you next Tuesday night at 7:45. Good night, everybody.